Okay, I got some great news, and also like a bit of kind of bad news. Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be bad, but it's not looking great so far. So I'm going to share with you the good news, the bad news, and on the bad news, I'd actually like to get your advice from any of you, excuse me, who have been through a similar situation and you might have answers. First of all, it has just been so busy. I swear, since quitting work, I've been busier now than I ever was before. Like, with stuff obviously that's not to do with work, but it's just been frantic. And the first bit of good news is that, as some of you will know, for a couple of years now we've been looking to move, and we've been backwards and forwards on whether we stay in the UK or not, and we're not loving it here. And but the thing is that the problem we had is that the only place we could unanimously decide on moving to was Singapore. Out of everywhere we've been in the world to date, it's the one place that has always felt like home. You know, even small things like, you guys in Singapore, you use the same plug sockets as us. We wouldn't need adapters. We can take all our electronics and they would work over in Singapore just like they work here. You drive on the same side of the road. It's just, you know, it's all very familiar. You speak English there as one of the primary languages. It's just it, and the food's great, people are great, weather's fab, love it. But to get residency in Singapore, turns out, is very difficult. So that one kind of got ruled out. And also David was kind of saying, and my family was saying, you know, Singapore's miles away. If you needed to get home quickly, it's going to take like the best part of like a day, day and a half really. Because what is it, like 16 hours direct from Singapore back to Heathrow. And it's a long old trip. So we kind of ruled that one out. And then David was saying, you know, he's like, oh, why don't we just stay here but move right away from where we know. So we have been looking at certain areas, or one area in particular that we kind of liked the vibe of. And we've been looking on and off all through last year, 2025, but because of work, we never really had the time to like properly dedicate time to viewing houses. But then beginning of January, that's when we started really looking, and we'd be on Rightmove and we'd be like looking for places that have come up. And at first there was really nothing coming up, obviously because it's January. And then a couple of places came up. If you want to know the full story, because we went to one place, it was like House of Horrors. If you want to know the full story, go and check out my Patreon. I'll link to it below. I tell the story over there. But we looked at a couple, and then this one came up, and it had been on a day, and we both saw it because every morning and every afternoon and all through the day we're on Rightmove, refresh, and this one comes up and it looks really pretty, and it's like a great size, it's got a garden on it, like 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, nice big garden. Like, it's not a huge garden, but it's not like acres. But it's a really nice garden, and we could do so much with it. David wants to get a fish pond, for koi, you know, there's big old fish. He wants to kind of do all that, and there's room to extend out the kitchen, etc. So we go in on this open day. And if you've ever been to a house open day, you will know they can get very busy, and this house was popular, and there was a lot of interest in it. And one thing, like, the agents were brilliant, but they did sort of like follow us around the house, so we didn't really get the chance to step back and look at rooms and evaluate, you know, what's going to go where furniture wise, and can we live with this. And so we didn't really get to, you know what I mean, absorb it. So, and the house played on our mind, and I said to David, he was like, don't be negative, but I was like, I'm not being negative, but I just feel like we're not going to get it, because there's been so much interest and it's been really pushed, and I just feel like there's a lot of interest in it. Anyway, David said, look, let's go back and view it a second time on a more quiet day. So we go back the second time, and on the second time it was great because it was just one agent on the second time, and she stood by the front door and just stayed there and let us go around the house, and it meant that we could really take it in. and not be sort of crowded and chatted to. You know when someone's like in your ear, like wah 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 wah, and you're like, yeah, I get it. I just want to look round, you know. So anyway, we go and look round, and David and I in one of the rooms upstairs, I like whispered to him, like, I want to put in an offer on this place, but you know, do we bother? Anyway, we get home, and it turns out that the property owners had plans drawn up to extend the kitchen. So the kitchen is really pretty, but it's not very big. And it's really weird because the rest of the house is quite airy, but the kitchen's not very, it's really weird. But they've put a new kitchen in, it's really pretty. So it's totally livable. I wouldn't mind living in it at all, but there is a lot of option to extend out into the garden and to create like one massive kitchen. So and the agent said to us, oh, by the way, don't know if I told you, but the owners had like an architect plan drawn up, and you'd need to go to the council to get planning permission. But the bit that's going to, I mean, it all costs money to do. But she was like, you know, one of the bits that's going to cost you money, the architect, that's actually already been done. So they're going to send us those, which is really great, because we will eventually do that at some point. So anyway, that was that, and then that was on Thursday, okay? And then we got home, we were talking, and it must have been about 5 in the afternoon, it was quite late, and I said to David, look, I'm making an offer, and I'm gonna offer them the asking price. I'm not gonna muck around, I'm not gonna try and lowball, I'm not even gonna try and undercut slightly what they're asking for, I'm just gonna give them what they want. So I sent the email, and I was so excited, but I was like, oh, it's annoying I've sent it at 5, because now I've got to wait until the next day, which was Friday, until getting an answer. And then I thought, Friday, no one does anything on a Friday, so then it's going to be Monday. You know, you've got the whole weekend sort of stressing about, are they going to accept it? Anyway, you wouldn't believe it, but it must have been about 6 or 7 p.m. I got an email straight back from the agent. And she was like, congratulations, the vendors accepted your offer. And you know, David and I looked at each other, and we didn't cheer, we didn't jump for joy, we just looked at each other for quite a while, and we were like, what? Really? And it was like a real surprise, like a great surprise. And then after like a few minutes, we were like, yes, like this, like so excited. And now, if you've ever bought a house, you're going to know it takes ages, and it's all with the solicitors, and I don't even know what they're doing anymore. They could be on a beach somewhere. I'm not even sure what's going on. They do update us every so often, but it's a slow process in the UK buying a house. It can take like weeks. Like I know people it's taken months for. So who knows when that's going to happen, but everything's up in the air at the moment with what we're doing, but the wheels are in motion on that. So yeah, that's going to happen. Anyway, so that was like the first really bit of good news, and we're so excited. Fresh start, fresh area, just like everything start from scratch, and can't wait to get in the house. And what I am going to do is I'm not going to do house tours. I'm definitely not going to show the outside of the house. I'm not going to show through windows, anything like that. But what we are going to do is we'd love to make renovation videos. The house is in really good condition, but we want to paint, you know, we want to put up paneling. We want to get completely new furniture. We don't want to take our furniture with us. Like we're going to keep some of it, like the sofas I love, the coffee tables I love, but things like our dining table, we've had that for 10 years now, and all the chairs that go with it, and we're just sort of over that. So we're not going to take a lot of stuff. We're going to take what we like, and then put for sale the stuff that we don't like. And Louis just walked in, so he might start getting annoying. But yeah, that's what we're going to do, and just buy new, start again, which, as I say, is going to be really exciting. So the next bit of good news that I got is concerning, you know, this mole sort of lesion thing that I had on my leg. So for any of you who are new, last July, I was watching TV one evening and I had this itch on the back of my leg. It was like on my ankle and it was itching chronic. And it was raised and it felt like a crusty mosquito bite. But I didn't think too hard. I just thought it was a mosquito bite that was maybe like partially healing or something. And then I noticed on my hands I had a bit of blood and I was like, oh my God, you've scratched that too hard. And I looked and it was this crusty, dark mole. And I was freaking out because I thought, I know that if moles look like that and if they bleed, you got yourself a problem there. So anyway, I went and saw a whole bunch of doctors, 4 in total. And in early October last year, they said to me, right, we want to remove that because none of the doctors I saw liked the look of it. So they removed it. And then in early November, I got the results back and they said, they were like, it had atypical cells or something. So they said they reckoned it was a few weeks away from turning into melanoma, which obviously is really scary because that's really serious stuff, you know. You think melanoma and you're like, oh yeah, just chop off the mole. But no, like melanoma can spread into the rest of your body. Like you've got to take it seriously. So I was freaking out. Anyway, they said to me, because of this, because it's got the atypical cells and it was turning, we want to get you back in for a second operation to remove margins to make sure we got all of it. Now, the first operation, I thought with a mole, they just cut the surface layer off. They don't. They go wide and they go deep, and it was really painful. The surgery was painful, but the healing was painful. So I was not looking forward to going back and having it done again. So I had to go back again in December last year. They did the second operation. They have taken, like, I've got a huge chunk out of my ankle now. It's not pretty, but I would rather it look like that than have melanoma, you know. But I got the results back last week. In fact, I got them back on the Friday. So we got the house offer agreed on the Thursday, and then I got the great results on the Friday. So it was a corker of a week. But they said to me, right, we've done all of our tests, like pathology have looked at it, and good news, it looks like we got all of the cells in the first operation, and the tissue that we took out in the second operation, when we looked at it, it was just scar tissue, there was nothing there, which is just like the best news, because that was like a cloud over my head, that whole situation. And I'm just so relieved. Like, it's been a great start to the year so far, and I'm just so relieved to have got that news. Like, that's just the best news. That's better than the house. That's just the best news. So that's kind of what's been going on. Now to tell you about this sort of not so good bit of news. It's concerning eBay. eBay has driven me slightly mad recently. So first of all, I sold someone a pair of shoes. They weren't expensive. I put them for like £9. They sold, and they weren't designer or anything. Just like, it was like a pair of new trainers that I'd never used. Not any particular brand, nothing like that. But they were pretty, but I just wasn't using them. So anyway, I put them on eBay. They sell. It took a while for them to sell, but they sold. I take them to the post office, whatever. Thought nothing more of it. And then I got a message from the buyer, and this was like earlier this week, and she said, she was like, do you know where these shoes are? She said, I've looked at the tracking on eBay, and it said that it says they're still at the parcel shop. And I checked the tracking myself, and she was absolutely right. It said they're still at the parcel shop, and I was like, what's going on? Anyway, she contacted Every, who are the courier. And they said that whilst it's still showing as being at the parcel shop, they did actually collect it, so it's not at the parcel shop anymore. But they said they've lost it, okay? So I don't want to get negative feedback, so I said to her, look, I'm just going to give you your money back, and if they turn up, they're yours, have them. Like, it's £9, you know what I mean? So I give her money back, and she was really disappointed because she really wanted these trainers, and I felt really bad for her because they're really pretty trainers, etc. In the meantime, I'm trying to get a refund off eBay for this missing parcel. eBay is, oh my God. If you try and get help on there, if you click the help option, it sends you in a big loop, and it's like automated. It's like, what's your problem? I sold something. What's the problem with that? It went missing. You click on the button. Contact Every. I'm like, I did that, and they told me to contact eBay, so I've just had to leave that. But the more concerning situation is concerning a designer bag that I sold on there at the end of January. the 19th, I think it was the 19th of January. So I sold this bag and it was brand new. I'd never used it. And you send it off to eBay to authenticate. And I'm always nervous about them authenticating things because I don't really trust them. I don't know who's doing the authenticating. I'm always worried about them damaging the bag and then blaming me for it, which is what happened. So get this. So I send the bag off. Have I got an example bag I can show you here? Maybe I do. I send the bag off. And no, I don't. eBay get it, and it's there for a few days, and I was like, this is really weird. Sometimes it's quite quick. And then I get a message from eBay, and they said, we've checked your bag, and yes, it's real, but it's got damage that you didn't disclose in the listing because you said you'd never used it. And I'm panicking because I'm like, I legit never used that bag. And in fact, before I posted it to eBay, I just got a gut feeling that this purchase was going to go wrong. So I took lots more photos, close-ups of the bag, and sent those pictures along with typing out the serial number to the customer so that she could see, on the day I'm posting it, this is the condition, it is brand new, here is the serial number, so if anyone switches out the bag and the serial number doesn't match, you know something fishy's going on and it's not my fault. So anyway, this email from eBay, they had attached photos and they'd said that the hardware was scratched. Now, the only real hardware on this bag was that bit there and the closure. And they'd taken this picture and it was real scratched up. And I just thought to myself, oh my word, I would have noticed that because I took photos of it before I sent it and that was not on there. And it was almost like somebody, I don't want to blame, but it was like somebody had been rough in closing the bag and this metal bit up the top had scratched this metal bit down the bottom. So that was the first bit of damage. The second thing I don't class as damage, they said, so this bag, because I'd never used it, the flap was really stiff. So you know when you open a bag, the flap's got this natural bend in it. It doesn't go dead flat, you know. They'd sent me a picture and whoever it was didn't look like they were treating the bag very kindly. They were holding it like this and they'd forcibly pushed this bit up. And what had happened was, where they'd done that, there was little creases along here, along that edge. And I looked at it and I thought, first of all, why are you being rough with it? It's a brand new bag. But secondly, those little creases you get that go away when the flap's back down again, that's normal because the bag is leather. Leather does that. And in fact, I've checked other bags I've got that are new, that are old, that are, you know, medium used, and they all do it. The only bag that doesn't do it is the Constance, which is back here somewhere. But my other bags, my Chanel bags, they all do it. You know, I'm hoping that makes sense. So that kind of annoyed me because I thought that's not damage, that's leather. That's what happens to leather when you force it, eBay. So anyway, they'd sent these pictures to the buyer and they said to her, do you still want the bag? And they sent the pictures to me and said, you know, the money's on hold. I was like, fair dues. They were like, the money's on hold and we'll let you know whether the seller wants the bag or not. She takes ages over it, but she eventually responded and said she wanted it. Then here's where the more weird stuff started happening. The courier company tried to deliver it to her 3 times, and I can see that because in eBay, I can look at the tracking and see what's gone on. They've tried to deliver it 3 times, and it says that she's not been in on any of those 3 times. On the 4th attempt on the thing, it says, the bag is at our depot, make an appointment to come and collect it. That was ages ago. It looks like she hasn't done that. Then there is a message to say that the buyer has requested it be returned to eBay. So it's now somewhere in the ether on its way back to eBay. And there's been no update on the tracking since the 29th of January. It is now, I don't know what the date is. What is the date? It's now the 6th of February. If this bag has got lost, which is looking like it could have done, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because she's going to get her money back and I've lost my bag. And who's got it, you know? And I don't know if this is some sort of scam. I don't know if it's true, if the buyer just hasn't, because she said to me, I messaged her and she wasn't writing back, and I was like, this is not looking good. Then she eventually wrote back and said, oh, she was like, I am in, but they're not ringing the bell. And I'm like, well, it's a bit weird. They've tried you 3 times, day after day, and then they've given you the option to go and manually pick it up, and none of that's been communicated with you when I can see it, so you can see it. And what she said to me is, oh, I've contacted eBay and I've told them I still want the bag, and can they send it back to me? And I'm thinking, is this a case of buyer's remorse, where you don't want to tell me I don't really want it anymore, and you're hoping that it comes back to me and you get your money back? Is it buyer's remorse? Or is it just a natural, honest case of this person not being in when the bag's been attempted delivered? I don't know. I'm so confused, and I'm really worried, because it's an expensive bag. She got it for a fab price, 50% off plus more, because she asked for a discount, so she got it for a really good price. It's a beautiful bag, and it's so weird, but the day I shipped it, I looked at that package as I walked into the post office, and I thought, I've got a funny feeling about this transaction, that it's going to be problematic and that I might never see this bag again. And not, really bad. So if you've had a similar thing with eBay, even things like, as a seller, I can't leave negative feedback for somebody who's bought from me. And they might have done me the dodgy, they might have done me dirty, and taken an item or broken it and returned it. I've had that before. Someone on eBay who bought an item and it returned it to me in pieces. And I could see there was impact marks on it. They'd hit it with something like a hammer or a rock or something, and they'd returned it in pieces to get their money back. And I was furious, and I couldn't leave this person negative feedback because I'm the seller, So, very, very frustrating. I don't really know what to do in this situation. I have tried to contact eBay, but there is an AI chat thing which is useless. Or it directs me to their community, where it's like a forum where I can go and ask people, but that's not going to help the situation. eBay are just, they're not helping. They are not helping at all. So, I might have to kiss goodbye to that bag. I might have lost the money and the bag. That could be the situation. Could be a flaky customer, could be part of a scam. Maybe she got buyer's remorse and decided she didn't want it anymore, so rejected the courier. Could be anything, but it's frustrating. Anyway, that's everything I've got to update you on at the moment, the good and the bad. Hopefully the eBay thing won't turn out bad, but so far it's not looking good. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.